Greetings everyone, this is IP with another video. This time I want to speak about a film that, not a lot of people talk about this film, but it was a decent film by the name of Lucy, starring Scarlett Johansson, came out in 2014. A sci-fi film that really involves evolution. It was straightforward, with the evolution theory. It was transparent, wasn't trying to hide it, and it was really basic the way they utilized it. Um, for those who haven't seen the film, spoiler alert if you want to say, the movie is extremely old. I mean, I'm not, I'm, I'm pretty sure everybody saw it by now. If you didn't, I'm sorry, but I'm going to really go into spoiler territory. The lady who Scarlett Johansson was playing by the name of Lucy, um, in the opening scene where she basically was abducted because of a certain drug that was being spread to the masses in Hong Kong. I forgot the name, can't really recall, but it was a blue um, substance. When you take it, it enhances the cells in your body, causing you to have, if the bond between your cells and this chemically laced drug coincide, then you become a supernatural human being. The whole theory of evolution is emphasized in this by showing the first female in the world being a monkey by the name of Lucy, um, showing that evolution theory from the monkey to humans, and um, basically that's what the story conveys. But that's not what I'm trying to. That's not what I really wanted to talk about with this movie. I feel like that was easy enough to point out, and I honestly don't believe that the people who actually wrote this film was trying to convey that either. I think it was just an excuse for the power setup. Let me explain. The power setup was shown from the beginning when the drug. Well, first of all, when she was abducted by some triad gangsters from Hong Kong, they were. I don't know if they were triad, but typically that's the gang that usually, I mean, that you hear of when you are associating any gang with Chinese. It's not stereotypical. It's just that's the most known gang, and that's who abducted her. And they were shipping off these particular chemically laced drugs. They were stashing it in people's stomachs. They would open your stomach up, and they'll find a spot to hide the drug. And this particular time, they hid it in her stomach, and she was being held captive by some, you know, local thugs around this meat market. I don't know exactly what or it wasn't a meat market. It was some type of, I don't know what type of place this was, but they had her held. They transported her, and the idea was to have her to have these drugs stashed in her stomach, and she can take it to other countries legally without them being able to spot it because it's in her belly. But while they was holding her captive, she, was being um, taken advantage of, or they tried to take advantage of her sexually. And when she resisted, they kicked her in the stomach, and the blue, um, you know, the chemically laced drug that was blue um, had contact with the inside of her, organs. And once that contact was made, and once that her organs were exposed to that lethal drug, one of the first signs of her powers was her actually being, I mean, she actually was um, crawling on the ceiling, like she was uh, convulsing, and she was shaking, and just having these weird gestures and postures, and she was contorting, and she wound up being on the ceiling shaking. And then all of a sudden, when it was completely done, combining with her cells, they had this number that was shown. I believe it was 2%, um, suggesting that she had reached 2% of her mental capacity. And when she did that, she was, able to defeat the thugs that were holding her captive. And her senses were razor sharp. She was able to translate. Now she was an American lady. Scarlett Johansson was playing a lady by the name of Lucy, who was um, basically, an American lady who was in China for college studies, and you know, so when she left this territory, she didn't know the language, but when she had this drug in her DNA, she knew everything. She knew how to remember her first day she was born. Her sense of smell and her contact with the world. I mean, she became, razor sharp, and it only increased throughout the film. This is my point. They started to show the elevation in her power levels, and what it reminded me of is anime. When you watch anime shows, they're always speaking about evolving to the next stage, and you know, typically in anime, there'll be seasons instead of like how American cartoons used to be, where it's just like one episode, this happened. It'll be an entire season, and the main characters from those animes, do not evolve until the next season. So due to that, the stakes will be much higher, but the characters will be a lot more powerful. Um, and this is basically replicated in the film industry. You're seeing the influence. Lucy is nothing but an anime adaptation without being an anime adaptation, which is the reason why I believe Scarlett Johansson played in Ghost in the Shell after Lucy. Um, it's just this evolution stage, and evolution was fitting to connect the story with the action. It was basic, but that was basically the reason why I believe they put that type of power in this particular film. Was to illustrate evolution, but also you know illustrate evolving power. In a short period of time, because the movie was short. It was shorter than it. Most films that try to go that route. So when you see a movie like Lucy or Underworld or Resident Evil franchise, you see this um, constant, um, you know, heightened power levels for each, you know, um, film. You'll realize what they got that concept from, which is anime. So that's just a little known fact for that I felt I wanted to share with Lucy, because Lucy is a good film, but it's not something that I dwell upon too much. And the evolution thing was kind of simple, so I didn't really feel a need to dig too deep into that. And the action is self-explanatory, but I just felt that was a little known fact that I don't think no one touched on. So on that note, signing out. I paid. Thank you.